let's go ahead and go with Cy now. Hugh is still catching his breath, by the way, and Cy's gonna present global payments. Go ahead, Mr. Lynch.
All right. I'll try and run through this reasonably quickly because it's not a particularly tough story to tell, I don't believe. I came up with global payments along the lines of the way that I've come up with the last several picks. I guess actually all of the picks pretty much, except maybe the first one, by looking at the sector radar, seeing what the top potential sectors for return over the next 5 years or so are, and the financial sector is still the lead sector there. I think it's been that for about 3 of the first 4 months that we've been doing this. You all may recall a couple of months ago I did a financial stock, First Niagara, a thrift. This time I wanted to stay away from banks, so I looked at a card processor, which is Global Payments. Here you see the historical sales growth of about 19%. Notice, well, this actually is not my slide. This got grabbed from somewhere else, it looks like.
That's just the raw S&P data, Cy.
Well, no, the reason, what I was going to point out, the fiscal years, I converted mine to conform to the company's reporting so that it would show between 2000 and 2009. Just be aware, those of you looking at this, the company calls what you are seeing on this slide is 2009. The company calls that fiscal 2010. It ends in May of 2010. Those of you who are familiar with the way that the Better Investing NAIC products, actually I think it's the data feed where the change is made. Anything before a June fiscal year end is counted as the previous year. Although most companies with May fiscal years call it the calendar year. So just be aware of that. If you read company materials, value line materials, and the like, they'll be talking about 2010 being the flat year that you see here is 2009. In any event, 19% growth, leveling off in the last year primarily due to the recession. There we go. One thing that attracted me to global payments, what they essentially are in a nutshell is they process plastic. They are a card processor. They process all sorts of card transactions, credit cards, debit cards, gift cards, intercompany gift cards. They're even going into casino cards as well. But essentially they deal with plastic money. They sell two different ways. They sell directly to the merchant, that being the person who takes your card, sells you the good or service. They also sell through organizations that sell to merchants, an indirect channel. You can see here they're pretty broadly diversified. They've got pretty much their hand in all sorts of industries. So even if one is hurt a little bit, the rest should do fine. Next slide. Here's just a quick look at who their competitors are. Global Payments focuses primarily in the small to mid-size merchant markets. They don't really go after the extremely large merchants. You'll see the competitors across the board, and those primarily go to the larger merchants, but as this slide shows, it's across the board. Bank of America, Chase, First Data, those entities, none of those are publicly traded. They're either divisions of larger companies, or in the case of First Data, they're privately held. Then you see the primary competitor in the smaller market, and this is who I think the company really treats as certainly their publicly traded competitor, that being Heartland Payment Systems. Next slide. Here's just a little bit of a look at historically with a bit of projection on how plastic payments have grown over the years from 2003 to 2013. The projection from the Nielsen report shows 13% compound annual growth rate. Move on. Here is just a snapshot of the fiscal 2010 revenues, and this is why I mentioned the change on that earlier slide, that this is the same as the 2009 figures from there. You see the company is a little over 50% in United States and a little less than 50% throughout the rest of the world, Canada, Europe, and Asia Pacific. Next slide. Here is the Nielsen reports breakout of plastic transactions throughout the world, and as you can see, Global Payments is in 93% of our markets, having 93% of those transactions. So again, they're pretty much everywhere. They're not in Latin America or in the Middle East and Africa. Next slide. This is just another way of looking at that 13% growth from 2003 to 2013. Primary thing this slide shows is notice relatively significant growth in the share from Asia Pacific in 2003 to 2013, and that's where Global Payments is looking for a significant amount of their growth going forward. All right, next.
All right, any last comments on that?
End of mine. I'll just summarize my growth projections. I used a 9% revenue growth rate going forward. That's pretty much in line with both the company's projections and guidance for this year. They don't give more than one fiscal year guidance. It's in line with the analyst projections at Yahoo, a little below Value Line's projection, and in line with Morningstar's. I use roughly a net margin of 13%, which is about the 5-year average. Again, the company's looking to continue to increase that from what it is now. Value Line and Morningstar also both look to increase margins. Seeing some pressure near term, I decided to keep it at about the 5-year average, which is a bit of an increase from right now, but not quite as much as Value Line and Morningstar looked at. And using those projections and a 17 average PE leads to about a 12% potential return, which on an average return basis is a little on the low side, but it's still well above our 8.6 MyPar, so I liked it there, and I think it has the potential to both have higher profitability as well as a higher PE, and you'll actually see a bit of a higher profitability reflected at Manifest, which gives an average potential return of about 15.3 today. So that's my pick, Global Payments.
Thanks, Si. It certainly stacks up pretty well when you take a look at it. I know our quality rating has it in the high 80s, which is virtually unequal. Again, yes, just wanted to do go ahead.
And highest in the industry. Thanks for mentioning that. I was going to say that earlier, but all right.
It's definitely a good study. Well, thanks. Just wanted to take a moment and point out that we do have a couple of upcoming webinars on the 11th. That's a Thursday, Dashboard Diagnostics, where we'll probably have something of a Thanksgiving theme if we can swing that. And then the next Challenge Club meeting is on the 16th. So again, that's just a transitional slide to give us a moment, put a break in the program. And Ken, I'd like to, since we have so many people here from Michigan, invite you to do a little bit of a pitch for the regional conference. Don't have a slide for it, but perhaps you'd like to say a word about it. He's probably muted. Ken? Or Natalie kidnapped him and took him
Yeah,
to lunch.
I'm unmuted. That's all. Our Better Investing Regional Conference is coming up at the end of March. We'll be in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We have some wonderful presenters already lined up. Among them, Pepsi-Cola Company and General Electric will be presenting at the regional conference. If you need more information, you can go to the Mid-Michigan website on the Better Investing site, or you can drop an email to either Natalie or myself. My email is kcavola1@comcast.net, and we'll be glad to send you an application form and a registration form, rather, and some information on the regional conference. It's a 2-day affair starting on Friday, going through Saturday at around 4 in the afternoon. Mark will be there presenting. I'm going to present a full slate of classes, and we have some brand new teachers that should make for an interesting mix of education at the event.
Well, thanks, Ken. I will have a slide for that next month, but we just wanted to give you a little bit of heads-up notice on that actual live event. Again, Ann Arbor next March.